Do you want your business to grow faster? Are you open to new and out-of-the-box ways to drive revenues and increase value? How do you imagine the most successful entrepreneurs and business leaders double, triple, or expand their businesses tenfold or more? The answer is Deals. This is a weekly podcast featuring conversations with business owners, executives, and leaders as we reveal behind-the-scenes details that give you, our listeners, the confidence to pursue your own deal-driven growth. On the show, we discuss a huge variety of deals, everything from large, complex mergers and acquisitions to smaller deals that you can do even without significant capital. My name is Kupfer, and I've been supporting deal-driven growth for businesses for 35 years as a successful entrepreneur, professional negotiator, and attorney. My goal is to help you strategize, plan for, find, and complete deals that will help your company grow faster. Welcome to the DealQuest Podcast. Let's get started. DealQuest listeners and viewers, I'm so excited this week. We've got another one of our little best of episodes. We've been doing some of these, we put about, a few times a year, a quarter, something like that. And we just take a little excerpts from different parts of the show, give you a little different look, give you a feel. And for those of you who are regular listeners of the DealQuest Podcast, you know that we don't do a scripted podcast. We don't send out questions to the guests in advance. We want it to be conversational. Every interview looks different. However, we do have a way we open and a way that we close the show. We have two questions I ask always up front and one that I ask at the end. This best of episode is 4 recent answers to the second question that I asked, which is, what was your first deal of any type? And I say to folks, it could be something small when you were a kid or something early in your career, whatever comes to mind. Some folks answer, listen, this is not a question they're prepared for, as I said. So, it's whatever comes to their mind. Some of them answer with sort of more entrepreneurial, just stories about their first business or sale or whatever, which is not, exactly the kind of deals we talk about, but it does give us insight. That's the goal is, right, to give us some early stories and insight into the guests. We start out with what did they want to be when they were growing up? And, inevitably, it's almost never what they're doing now. And then also, what is this first deal? And it gives us some insight, even if it's a more entrepreneurial story. And then some folks, some have some very interesting deal stories from either their experience as a young person or early in their career. So this episode has just, 4 of those from recent episodes that range in the 230s in terms of episode numbers. The people that you're going to hear, and they'll be in this order. I'm not going to do an interlude in between each one. We'll just run them back to back. But the people you're going to hear on this one are Stephen SACHS, episode 235, Pradeep Sangha, episode 233, Channing Hamlet, episode 236, and Ace Chapman, episode 238. And they're all fun, interesting stories. I mean, Ace has an amazing story about his early deals. The one he tells in this excerpt is more about, his sort of first business. But his episode, he had an early deal when he was in college. That is an amazing story that you should definitely listen to you listen to all these full episodes. But, he's got a fun early deal story, one after the one he told in this excerpt. So definitely check this out. It's a fun little episode. We got those 4 clips, and I think you really enjoy it. One more question looking back, and this could be something, some small when you were young or early in your career, whatever comes to mind. What was the first deal of any type that you did that you remember?
Well, I'm like a lifelong cyclist. I'm fascinated with cycling. And I used to take bicycles apart, put them back together again, and by bits, make new bikes, sell them, do servicing for some of my pals. So, yeah, it was sort of bike orientated, I think, generally.
Yeah, I would say in my early 20s, that's when I built my first house. Uh-huh. So that was a big deal for me. So I'd made that decision. I had my best friend at the time. We were actually having a beer, and we said, "Why don't we just build a whole house?" And we said, "Yeah, let's do it. Build it and sell it, and away we go." So that was an interesting experience that I had at that age. It was a ton of learning, a ton of challenges. I can tell you, I learned a lot. A lot of it wasn't fun, but it was probably one of the best experiences I ever had.
One of the ones that comes to mind is I worked for a couple of years at a consulting firm, and then through a kind of an interesting turn of events, got involved in investment banking. And the second The consulting firm I worked for, our clients were Fortune 50 companies. And so we were doing presentations to the CEO or board of directors. And these were kind of large companies that were slow moving and fairly bureaucratic. And then I got involved at Legg Mason doing M&A. And the guys I worked for at the time had a really strong family-oriented family business practice. And the second transaction I worked on was a third generation family business that had kind of fallen on hard times. And we were hired to sell the company. And it was a really complicated and difficult transaction. I won't bore you with all the issues that came up, but at the closing dinner, the patriarch of the family pulled me aside and he kind of said, look, I really appreciate all the hard work you and your firm did. You guys changed our family's life. And, we're really grateful for you. And I'm pretty sure he said that to everybody. And it was like kind of a throwaway comment after dinner or whatever. But it really kind of hit me. It's like, I really like this working with these smaller family companies where we can come in and make a difference. Like it feels good and, we can really make a difference. And I was kind of like hooked on working with smaller companies and entrepreneurs and, using the skills to help them. So that moment is kind of a memorable moment for me and was sort of formative in the direction of my career at some level, I think.
So I was obviously having that kind of mindset. I was obviously the kid that was buying candy and selling that, sure, finding the cool pencils and selling that. But I actually had a little business that was pretty neat in high school that ended up making me the money. In that first deal that you mentioned, I had about $3,000 saved that I had put down on this business. And that $3,000 came from a business where I would sell these gold necklaces. So I was in a store that, just had these, like, they were not actual gold,
right?
But they looked really cool and they said 14 karat gold. It didn't say like gold plated or anything.
Okay.
And so, basically they were like $1. And so I would sell these things for $14 or $20. And, it's obvious. It was like, hey, like it says 14 karat. I don't think it's real. It's probably not real. And it was just so many business lessons from that first experience. The first one was like the power of like franchising, basically. So, I was at a school and then I had friends that went to other schools. And so I came up with a plan where I would, sell it to them wholesale at like $8 and they could go and sell it for 15, 20, whatever.
Well, listen, when your cost of acquisition of goods is $1 and you could sell it retail for 14, there's a lot of margin in there, a lot of room.
A lot of margin. So, so at my school, people would do ridiculous things. Like they would go swimming with the necklace. I'm like, you paid $20 for this necklace and you thought you could go swimming in it. But when they came back to me with their net green and the necklace, it's like, here's another one. I won't make you pay anything for it. So it's free, but don't do that again.
Right.
My other people though, I had one guy in particular, and this is where I learned, like, as you start to sell to other people, the issues that come up, he didn't have that. He didn't want to give up anything. And he was obviously paying a wholesale for the necklace.
So he had less margin. Right.
So people would come back to him and they're like, hey, I don't know. You got to call this Ace Chapman guy. And this is back in the day with like pagers. So he's giving my pager number out to people. They're blowing me up bad. He's telling them that it's real for $20. And so just like, I had no quality control over the process. So I made some really great money, but had to shut that business down.
DealQuest community, I hope you had fun listening to those clips of Stephen Sachs, Brittany Psaga, Channing Hamlet, and Ace Chapman, episodes 235, 233, 236, and 238, respectively. That question is just such a fun question. All our guests, answer it. It's a fun way to get into it. And definitely check out their full episodes and check out our upcoming guest interview episodes going forward. Appreciate you listening. Have a great week. Thank you for joining me on this episode of DealQuest, where we help you understand how deal-driven growth can be your ticket to freedom. I want to invite you to a unique way to tap into the wisdom and experience of the DealQuest community.
Join the DealQuest Deal Den Zoom calls, a free monthly 90-minute mastermind. In the mastermind, we address all the challenges you may be facing and help support you with the opportunities that may arise in terms of deal-driven growth. You will get input not only from me, but all the members on the call will collaborate and serve each other in a mastermind format. To sign up for the free mastermind, go to www.coreykupfer.com/dealden. That's coreykupfer.com/dealden. I'll see you there. I'm Corey Kupfer. Until next week, wishing you the freedom and financial prosperity that I know your DealQuest will bring.